Woo! What's up, guys? Oh, how we doing? Flovin, what's up, buddy? Gaukib? How's it going? Sorry. I'm not great at usernames. Ian, Super. We got the whole gang here. How we going? How we doing, guys? It's Thursday. It's Thursday. I'm a normal human being. I know what day it is. We're having a good day. We're so busy. So busy. I spent the morning working on a podcast edit for my dear friend Lori Wolliver, very successful author, chef extraordinaire. Very, very fun podcast called Carb Face. If any of you are foodies and just generally enjoy listening to hilarious New Yorkers be hilarious, go check out Carb Face. It's a very, very fun podcast that I get to edit for from time to time. But yeah, no, we are just in the thick of all of the work and all of the woo Carb Face. We're in the thick of all of the work and just everything. We're making good progress, though. Yesterday was a very productive day. We had a great day on stream. We're in an ad. That's what's happening. Having live lighting feedback from our wonderful mod Super is just so incredibly useful. So we'll vibe for a second. I mean, it's not like anything important is happening yet. I had a very productive day yesterday. Great stream yesterday, and we are going to be returning to working on Order 1 today, which is going to be a lot of fun. We're working on this very cool underscore for the very beginning of the game. It's like very dark, very cinematic. So we're going to be doing some very fun kind of dark ambient scoring. That's going to be a really, really great time. But first, and our goal today is to just get that track done. But first, indeed, Ian, well, we will talk all about it. Don't you worry. Ad. It's an ad. It's so green. My God, look at how green it is in here. It's crazy. But yeah, so that is our goal for today, is to get that track finished. Of course, first, we are going to start with just a couple of feedbacks. We're going to do like 3. We already have green for ad revenue. I mean, I suppose not like we get very much of that, to be honest. Even with as many folks hang out in here these days, I make I think it's $8 a month from ad revenue. So if I could just fully turn them off, I would, but Twitch does not allow it, sadly. The shorter you make the breaks, the more frequent it makes them. And the longer you make the breaks, they're less frequent, but then they're like 4 straight minutes of ads for everyone. Like we have very limited control over it, which is super annoying. But yeah, we're going to start with some feedback. I will reiterate this in a second when we're out of ads. Yes, the sub is deeply appreciated, Ian. Hooray for no advertisements. Ad break ended. Your community is back. Yay, welcome back, community. You missed absolutely nothing important. Just me rambling about doing work and what we're going to be doing today, which is working more on this track for Order 1, this kind of intro track to the whole game, which is going to be very, very cool. We started on it yesterday, and it's sounding great so far. I'm extremely excited to get back into it. But first, feedback. We had a little bit of time today to do feedback. We're going to do like 3, maybe. So I know we have at least one person, which is our friend Gaukib or Gaukib. Again, sorry for butchering your username. I'm not sure which. Feel free to correct me in chat if you so desire. But we will go ahead. We have 3 already. Excellent. We have, let's see here. Who made it in first? There's me, Flovin, followed by Ian, followed by Gaukib, or what have you. So let's, given that we have 3, let's go ahead and jump over and do a little bit of feedback. We might do like 4. We'll see. But we want to keep this relatively abridged. I don't know if it's basically just whoever fills the form out first. So if you all get a link at the same time and 3 people start filling it out, it's whoever finishes first gets in queue first. We are working on a much better queue solution, by the way. Our wonderful mod, Supertonic, much love to Supertonic in chat. Wonderful mod is working on a custom a custom queue solution for us. So there will be like more chat commands for it. You guys will be able to see where you're at and hypothetically even pick your own little light show to play while your song is up, which is going to be a very cool feature. So we're cooking because this Google Doc thing is just not really. Yes, I know, Super. This Google Doc is just not working. It's just not a good solution. But let's jump over into feedback mode and take a look at our first track, which is going to be from Floven. On Newgrounds. I love so much that you use. I know I say it every time you submit, but I love that you use Newgrounds. Gotcha. Oh, that ended super. Fly man, how's it going, buddy? Yeah, Flyman, we can do one for you. After you, we'll close queue though, because we have a lot of work to do.
DJ_Flyman wants feedback on their song.
Nice. What an interesting little piece, man. I like this a lot. It definitely I could see this working in a lot of different contexts. I mean, this would definitely be like work really, really well for sort of cozy game kind of a scenario, or just a lot of different game scenarios. Somebody said walking through leaves, which I think is a very good imagery thing here. And all your tempo changes and the sort of like retards and all of that stuff works really, really well. It all flows naturally. A lot of times when I hear pieces from people that have a lot of tempo changes in them, can tend to feel a tiny bit awkward. This does not. This flows really, really in a very lovely way. Yeah, I don't really have a whole lot in terms of like, constructive thoughts on this. I think it's a really nice piece. It goes a lot of different places. It feels very like, yeah, it gives me the feeling of like maybe the edge of a small town in autumn, walking through leaves. And there's melancholy elements to it, but there's also very like happy, kind of warm, cozy elements to it. And I think you're 100% right, Super. I agree with you entirely on that. Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily change a whole lot here. I think it's really nice. I think your sound selection on it was really, really good. I guess if anything, the ending felt a little bit like abrupt. Like that just kind of feels like it just kind of ends. Yeah, and the guitars are definitely like MIDI. You can tell that they're MIDI guitars. And sometimes, yeah, like a little bit of reverb can help make them sound a little bit less MIDI. But in the context of the rest of the song and the rest of the sounds, I think it works quite well, actually. It doesn't jump out to me as like, oh, that's a hokey MIDI guitar sound. It fits because everything else is kind of, MIDI sounding, but a lot of like game music and stuff in this style is very much in that. Yes, Toast is here. Absolutely. He's wandering around at my feet, meowing. Yep. Hi. Do you want to come say hi to chat? Here. Come say hi to chat. There you go. Look, everyone, it's Toast. Here to destroy my shirt. Hey, bud. Yeah, the ending, I think, could be like a little smoother. It could maybe have a bit more of a ramp out. Or like not a fade out exactly, but he hears his own meow. He goes, oh. You want some treats? Oh, he wants treats. Cheesy. What's up, buddy? Here you go, bud. Oh. Anyways, sorry. We're distracted by my adorable cat. My enormous chungus of a cat. But yeah, no, I think bottom line, it's really, really nice, man. And you did an excellent job with it. I don't know if you've thought about going and like getting in any game jams or hitting up any devs, but I think you have a lot of stuff that could work really, really well in a lot of different kind of indie game contexts, pixel art game sort of contexts. Yes, hello. You're so lovey. What's going on? You're just so happy. Okay, we're balancing on one leg. What are you trying to do? I have no idea what he's trying to do. I mean, yeah, if that's something that would be fun for you, Floven, I think you absolutely could, and I think you'd have a lot to offer, and would learn a lot from getting in a game jam or something and writing some stuff for a game project. I think your stuff definitely fits really, really well in that style. So, okay, we're gonna let you down. Oh, Jesus Christ. Downfall of owning an orange cat. Cool. Well, I'm just covered now. That's fine. And he wanders off. Very, very good. Yeah. The struggle is real, 100%. I really need to keep a lint roller in here. We have 9,000 of them. The stream's going swimmingly. trying so hard to do feedback, and I'm just covered in hair, and it's terrible. Anyway, so I'll probably go get a lint roller in a second. No, I mean, it's true. You know, it's very true. We love him regardless. But yeah, thank you, Philoven, very much for sharing, man. Very, very cool. Very cool stuff. Very, very cool piece. And strong work again. Mr. Ian McKay, you are up next. Let's check out what you got going on. Particularly interested in what you think of the mix of the guitar in the last section. I've been getting a lot of mixed comments from other streamers, but I trust you. Oh, well, thank you. Trust you the most. I appreciate it. Well, we will let you know what we think of the guitar. Now for something completely different. Damn. Wow. Really great work, man. The arrangement on this and just like the overall production level is exceptional. Really, really, really nice and goes a ton of different places. I love it starts in 4 and then it goes into like this whole 6/8 kind of a thing and then it goes back. Like that's all very, very cool. I'm so sorry, Flyman. I hate it when that happens. I'm assuming these are the guitars that kind of a thing in there is the guitars that you're talking about. Yeah. Okay. So I think, let's see here. Yeah, no, it slaps. All your grooves are great. You know, like I said, the progression, the arrangement, everything is great. Mix wise, I'm gonna put my finger on it. It's feeling like a little scooped in the mids, I think. Overall. Oh. I think it's just maybe what I'm hearing is just a teeny bit of like too much compression on the master or limiting on the master, which is just kind of squeezing things a little bit and bringing out like there's a character in the upper mids. This is an interesting one. I'm trying really hard to like put my finger on how like what exactly I'm hearing, because it's really, really good. It's, you know, it's like 90% of the way there. I'm just trying to like identify kind of exact frequency ranges. Like 250 is really clean. Like you don't have like low end woof built up. Low end feels really tight. Yeah, I think there's a lot of compression on the output, and it's maybe just squeezing and pumping things a little bit too much, and giving it a bit more of a hyped vibe in the upper mids and the super lows than it needs. Like it feels very present around maybe 8K, 6K, 5K, somewhere in there, and then really present in the subs, which is good. I wouldn't touch the low end. But I think, I can't tell if it's an EQ thing or if it's a compression thing that's giving it this kind of like odd contour in the upper end. And again, it's not like it sounds bad at all. It sounds really, really nice. This is a very subtle, 5-10% kind of a thing. But yeah, like that's poking out to me. The guitars, and I'll talk about that in a second, Flyman, because there's actually a very, very easy way to deal with overcompression that I will show you. The guitars are interesting. I think where they are right now, they're a cool element. I would not pick those out as guitars because they're relatively low in the mix. They're quite wide, which normally we put heavy guitars wide. But I think it comes down to, yeah, I think it would compress. What is your master chain on this? Like, what do you have on your master bus? Like what compressor are you using? Or compressors or limiters or like what all do you have going on that? I wouldn't pick they're a cool element. They sound to me where they are right now like a synth, just like another kind of sound design-y bass synth. I think part of that is EQing. I think part of that is where they are balanced in the mix. But I think the number one thing that's going on there is it's not a super guitar-ish part. Using Ozone 12, look at the chain sound of the Okay, cool. So you're just Ozone 12. One thing I'm doing lately was from a tutorial I saw on YouTube is that I put my leads in a bus channel and then FL studio. I use peak controller, connect fruity reverbs. The reverb can go up and down based on the kicks. Side chain I have the bass. Oh, okay, yeah. I see what you're saying. Flyman. That's cool. Yeah, also, you don't have to dive super into Ozone if you don't want to, Ian. If it's easy, then go for it. We can think about it, but not a huge deal. What are you using for that? Did you record the guitars yourself? Is it a sample that you found somewhere? Is it a guitar like library plugin kind of a thing? Because what it sounds like to me is it's not a guitar part that I would necessarily like that. It's not how I would play a part like that. Sample you found on FL Cloud. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, it's not written like a guitar part that I would normally sort of think to play from the perspective of a guitar player. Hang on. Because it's very, like, there's not clear tonality to it. Like, it just feels like... That's what it sounds like to me, which isn't really... Normally when we think of big heavy guitars like this, we think of like... EQing out the lows on guitars wrote a matching pattern with your sub bass. Interesting. In that case, I'm wondering if you EQ, where is your EQ point? EQing out the lows. How, if you're using a high pass, how high did you set your high pass? Because especially if it's a sample of a guitar like this, that string, which in my case is an F sharp, some guitars that would be a low E. That's at 38 hertz. But this would be probably 45-ish hertz, 46 hertz. Which is quite low. Now you can scrub some of that out, or you could do like a really gentle, like a 6 dB per octave high pass and lessen it. But if you want really thick, heavy guitars, normally with like a quote unquote regular guitar part, that's, you know, more something up there, you would absolutely clean out a lot of low end. When you have real heavy, stuff like that, high pass at 56. Okay, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good spot for it to be in. Interesting. Yeah, there's something about that sample that maybe it's that it's not loud enough. I would kind of need to hear the sample on its own as it was raw. Because it definitely is like, the bottom line is, to me, it's not coming across as a guitar. It's coming across as like another synth element. So you could try actually like boosting some of the low fundamental there. That could potentially help. Boosting mid-range on it could help. If it feels really scooped, I think maybe it's feeling scooped in that like 1K-ish region. It's got good presence. It feels like around 2 and 3K. But there's maybe some mid-range from it that's getting a little bit lost. If you have it compressed, maybe back off on the compression on it. And just generally bring it up in the mix. That's a tricky one, because like I hear why you've gotten mixed comments on it, and I think to me, bottom line, it's kind of an unusual sample. Like I wouldn't, if I were playing guitar on this kind of a thing, I probably wouldn't play that. I would play, I don't know what I'd play. I'd have to think about it, but it's like a very tight kind of aggressive, like I said, just very like. That's what it sounds like to me. And in the context of the sounds and the rest of the tune, it feels a little, it just doesn't, it's a cool element. And it's very cool rhythmically. I can hear what you did with the sub to line up with it, which is really nice. It just doesn't feel like a guitar. It's missing some of the, I think it's probably in the mid-range, that really makes the sound stick out as a guitar. And I think it's a little far back in the mix as well. So I'm sorry. I know that's probably not super helpful, and I'm sorry. I wish yeah, it would honestly be helpful if you, or if I could hear if I could hear the original sample as you found it, because I could probably have a better like opinion on what to do with it. But yeah, I definitely, the first things I would try, boost mids around like 800. Pretty broadband, and then bring it up in the mix, and then maybe even boost like 7 or 8K to really get the top, real sizzly top end grit of those distorted tones. Could be nice. It sounds like your high pass is in a good place. I would start there, and that, because I think it just needs to feel more like, oh yeah, it's a heavy guitar kind of a thing. I think is what it's missing there. But talking about overcompression really quickly, because Flyman, you were asking about this a second ago. The way to avoid overcompression is just to gain stage your mix properly, quote unquote. And this applies to every style of music imaginable. But what you always want to do, no matter what DAW you're working in, is watch your master meter. This is why I never produce with any kind of compression or limiting or mastering effect on my master bus at all. And I don't add anything there until the mix is 80-90% of the way done. So let me pull up a track that we can look at that's a little bit more sort of practical here. Sure. We can look at this lo-fi track we did for the AVN yesterday on stream. Or for this, sorry, IVN. What the hell is it? I don't even know what an AVN is. Oh no, ad starts in 20 seconds. Oh, super. You're blinking that one green so that only you're very clever. I love that. Yeah, we'll wait for this to load, and then after the, keep my mix down. So mine's 3D while writing and mixing. Then it's like 80% done. I have finished. Okay, so that's really, really good. When you say -3, do you mean you have your master output turned down, or you're just watching your headroom on your master by 3dB? And then second question would be, where do you have your maximizer and ozone set? Just watching headroom. Great. Okay, that's exactly what you should be doing. That's really, really, really good. That's good. Yes, keep instruments and right. So what Ian is talking about here, Flyman, is if I take all of my mastering effects off on this track, and this one may even be a little bit over. Oh, it is, yeah. So I'm not following my own rules here, but you generally speaking want to do your best to never see clipping on your master. This was a really fast turnaround track, so I wasn't paying a ton of attention. But this is we're like 9 dB over here. So if I were working on this and I felt like it was feeling over compressed, oh no. We're in ads. Well, we'll take a break for a second. And then I will keep oh no, Flyman, you're a sub. Okay, so you're not gonna get an ad. Good. So what over compression is just whatever compressor you have on your master bus is doing kind of too much work, which usually means that you are hitting it too hard. You're giving it too much volume. And so when you're saying, the job of a compressor obviously is to just turn things down when they get too loud. It's a little volume robot, right? So when you hit a compressor with a really, really loud signal, Musicado, how's it going? Good to see you, buddy. When you hit a compressor with a really, really loud signal, you're going to cause that compressor to pump and have to just work much harder and do a lot more gain reduction. Like instead of doing 3 to 5 dB of gain reduction, you're going to have it doing 15 or 20 dB of gain reduction, which means that you're going to get a lot more pumping and artifacting out of it. So what I always do is, like, if I start to get into this territory, I will grab literally every track in my session. So like I'll just grab these buses, right? That have all of my, my beats.
Musicado Brazil wants feedback on their song.
Excellent. Happy to check it out, Musicado. That will be our last feedback for today for Musicado. So super if you don't mind closing queue for me. Yes, by all means, Musicado, please. So a limiter is a compressor. A limiter is just a much stronger compressor. And that, okay, limiters, they're by default. So probably that's why everybody working in FL, I always tend to hear a lot of squash on mixes that come out of FL, because it's loading a limiter by default. That's interesting. Yeah, so I would remove that limiter completely, because what you're probably doing is, if you were to turn that limiter off on one of your mixes, you would see that you're like 9 dB over, or 10 or 15 or even 20 dB over. And so the limiter is like, it's working really, really, really hard to keep the volume down. So that's why I turn everything off. I have absolutely nothing on my master bus. And if I see that we're peaking out like that, I will take literally, even if it sounds clean, I will take everything in my entire mix and turn it down. We're going to go by 6 dB. So we're going to take this track from being +3 to -6. And then I will go back over here and I will add gain back on the master. Because you can see here on this is my main compressor, right? Right now, it's doing about -5, right? It's doing about -5 dB on compression. If I bring all this stuff back up, it's actually not that much worse, which tells me that peaking's probably really, really fast transients. Oh, it absolutely works the same way in EDM, 100%, 100%. No matter what, it doesn't matter what genre. This is a process that we call gain staging, okay? And it comes from the world of when we were working to tape. Tape was very, very, very sensitive to sound level, essentially, how many dBs you hit it with. And you'll see, or you know, if you were working to tape, which I've worked to tape a bit, digital is very kind of black and white. You're either clipping or you're not. And if you're clipping, it sounds, you get horrible distortion and horrible artifacting, and you can hear the second something clips. Tape is much more finicky. There's like this big, broad range in tape where it starts to saturate and it starts to compress a little more and a little more and a little bit more. So you have to get very good at managing all the volumes of everything as you're going to tape. And that's a process called gain staging, making sure that, you know, for example, like if I take this bass signal, right, that's at a pretty good level. If I recorded my bass and it looks like that, which I know my guitar does, and guitar is a bit odd because of how amps work, but generally speaking, that's not great. You want your signal to be about, you know, there at a reasonable volume, so that then when you're pushing into, say, an amp sim, right, you are getting a this sort of sounds good. So no, that on vinyl comes from actual dust in the vinyl grooves. I'm talking about tape saturation. So, like here, let's look at tape saturation real quick. So like if I just focus on, let's just look at our beat. And then let's pull up a really good emulation of a tape machine. Let's go, what's a really easy one to look at? Kramer tape is pretty good. So right now, see, we're pushing into the red, but we're not necessarily hearing, like you should think it's going over 0. Yeah, you should be good to go, Musicato. There's a couple people ahead of you in the queue, but we will absolutely get to it in just a bit here. So right now, even though we're pushing way into the red, it still sounds pretty clean. There's probably a tiny bit of saturation and natural tape compression going on. Those pops are not here. There, that'll fix that. But if I start pumping this, there you can start to hear a little bit of distortion and that tape saturation. And you hear a lot of compression happening as well, right? You hear every time that kick is hitting, it's really pushing down. Like it sounds very much like a compressor has been put on it, right? As opposed to way back here. So that's what tape saturation, tape compression feels like. And you can see that's plus 18 or minus 18 on this. That's a huge range. So the idea of distortion when you're working to tape as opposed to working to a DAW, they're very, very different. This is where the idea of very much creates distortion, yes. So this is where the idea of gain staging comes in. It was very important as you were recording to tape to make sure that all of your levels that you were, if you wanted a little bit of that distortion, you could get it, but it wasn't like digital, where it's like digital, it's either too loud or it's not. Tape, it's this whole gradient. So it took a lot of thought, like a lot of thought went into how you set up your mix and how loud everything was to get the tape to respond exactly how you wanted it to. Okay, so that's all tape. We're working digital here, right? So why is gain staging important? Gain staging is important here because the devices still work not quite. Oh, here, so over compression is just a compressor working too hard. I will give you an example here. So compressor, again, at its most basic level, just turns things down for you. And a limiter as well. A limiter is just a type of compressor. So if I take just a very basic limiter and put it on the master, and I want to totally overcompress this, turn the threshold way down. You hear how the volumes of everything in the mix are all suddenly fluctuating, and it really feels like there's something kind of squishing down on it's not distortion. It's just the volumes of everything not really feeling right. What you're hearing right there, Flyman, that's what a compressor does. And if you watch this little yellow bar, that's our gain reduction. That's how much the limiter is turning all of the sound down as it passes by. And so you watch it, it's writing the whole thing. What you want is something much more like that, where it's just grabbing bits that are a little bit too loud and turning those down for you to make sure that it doesn't go over the top. So again, the best way to do that is have no limiting on your whole mix, have nothing on your mix, produce out your track. And as long as you are always, or here, we don't even want to do that. We don't do that, and then grab you and you, because those are all buses. No, Musicato, this is a track we did for a video game yesterday. As I let this roll by, Flyman, I'm never peaking on my master. We call this headroom, right? Headroom is the kind of amount of space you have beneath zero. So I've got really, really good headroom here. And then when we start adding our compression, we ensure we're not hitting the compressor too hard and causing causing that pumping effect. That's what overcompression sounds like, and it happens when your compressor's working too hard. So it could be that your threshold is too low, or it could be that the signal going into the compressor is too high. Threshold is volume which the compressor activates and starts to push down. Ratio is how much attack. Yeah, very, very good. Perfectly put, Ian. Absolutely textbook. What Ian says there in chat, guys, is exactly correct from top to bottom. So yeah, and it's something that, you know, if you don't know, you don't know, in terms of mixing, and it comes from, again, the world of tape, but it's really important in DAWs because even though it's digital, it kind of doesn't matter. A compressor is a compressor, whether it's analog or digital, they fundamentally do the same thing. And the artifacting that you get is the same. That, you know, a natural pumping feeling is the same. So that's a lot of times when I hear EDM tracks, the number one, so all of the factors are important, Flyman. Threshold, if you're worrying about overcompression, usually threshold and ratio are the two most important. Attack controls how much of your transient gets through, how much of that smack, you know, if you have a kick drum that's going pow, pow, that very initial pop of that sound, the attack controls how much of that gets through, how much that is triggering the compressor. And then release, as Ian said, is how quickly it lets off. But really, Your threshold is very important. But even more important than your threshold is just how loud are you how loud is the sound that is going into the compressor? Because even if you set your threshold at 0 and basically have your compressor off, if you're sending it a super, super loud signal, it's still going to overcompress, right? This is gain staging. It's a constant kind of balancing act of how loud everything in your mix is. And it's kind of the number one thing that I hear on EDM mixes that can really rob a lot of character and a lot of detail out of a mix is like, and I say it all the time, you spent so much time on your sound design and now you're just slamming it into a limiter. And that limiter is pumping like crazy and is really screwing with all of the intricacies of the sound design and the imaging and everything else you've done in your mix to have like beautiful subtle delays and reverb tails and like little textures on your respaces and all this stuff. And then when you just slam it into a limiter, it just squishes everything. And you lose a lot of that space and air and depth in the mix. So yes, this kind of headroom trick of just grab everything in your session, select all the tracks, and you can move all of them. You can see how they're all moving together until you've got good headroom here. Then add your compression, add your limiting, add your, any other mix bus effects, because you're not going to overwork or blow anything out on your mix bus and have it working too hard and coloring and artifacting the sound more than you want it to be. You're going to have a really good, clean starting point for your master, right? Yeah, absolutely, guys. Yes, exactly. And yeah, 6 dB is good. -3 is fine. As long as there's a couple of dB, you're in good shape. Generally speaking, anywhere in there. Yeah, -9's like a bit quiet, but it doesn't really, it's digital. It doesn't matter. Especially if you're exporting at like 24-bit to send to a mastering engineer, it's 9 dB. -9's fine. Yeah, anyway, -9, -6, -3, anywhere in there is usually totally A-okay. And then, in that mastering stage, you can always turn it up, but you can't always turn it down. Something I also wanted to understand is this LUFS thing that I saw recently. Okay, sure, absolutely. So LUFS are very simple. When I'm talking about headroom, right? LUFS is just it is a rolling average of how loud your track is, measured in negative decibels, because, and that, again, if you look at all your meters in your DAW, your kind of baseline is 0, right? That comes from a concept called unity, unity gain, which also comes from the analog world. It doesn't really matter. All you have to know is 0 is baseline, and then we measure negatively from there. That's all you got to worry about. So LUFS, LUFS is an acronym, LUFS, loudness under full scale. Full scale is another word for unity gain. So all it is a rolling average of, the average loudness of this song is -9 dB below 0. That's it. That's all LUFS are. It's how we measure the average perceived loudness of songs. And that's really important because think about if you're sitting on whatever, YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud, and you're listening to a playlist, right? It's late, you're laying in bed, you've got a cup of chamomile tea, you're reading a book, and you've got your headphones in. And you're grooving to a track, and it's really nice. And then the next track comes on, and it's 4 times louder than the previous track. And you go, oh, shit, and you rip your headphones out, and it hurts your ears. This is why LUFS are important. You don't want to do that to people, right? So there are industry standards for volume, generally speaking. All streaming platforms are going to normalize down to -14. So if you put your stuff on Spotify, if you put your stuff on Apple Music, if you put your stuff, wherever, as long as they have volume normalization, which most platforms do, SoundCloud does not. It's one of the few that doesn't have it on by default. It's going, no matter how loud the track was presented, let's say you master a track to -4 LUFS. It's crazy, crazy, crazy loud. If you put that track on Apple Music, it's going to turn it down to where it's at -13 is Apple Music. So specifically, so people don't have that experience of they're listening to a playlist and everything, one thing's super quiet, one thing's super loud. You're constantly having to turn your volume up and down. That's a bad experience. So that's why LUFS are important and why we use them. And then there's also, like, if you're pressing to vinyl, it's very, very important because vinyl can only tolerate certain levels of loudness. When you're pressing to CDs, the same kind of a thing. Cassettes, obviously, we don't really do a whole lot of that anymore. But that is what LUFS are, and that is why they are important, right? So the way that you measure them is just by using a metering, a loudness meter. So we have level meter in Studio One, which looks like this. And you can just set it to LUFS. And right here, it just tells me my integrated LUFS are -14, which is exactly where I want this track to be. -13.5. So that's it. It's just a way to check the average loudness of your track. Genre to genre, there are different standards. A lot of EDM guys now are going for much louder targets. We call this the loudness war. Who can be louder? So you'll see some producers aiming for -7, -6, -3, which is pretty crazy. Thank you, Musicato. -1, which is at that point just so loud that it's going to cause other issues. But generally there was a guy, somebody in chat, this was like a month or two ago, was like, there's a YouTuber who figured out how to get positive LUFS. Which is, and somebody apparently did figure out how to use intersample peaking to get a positive LUFS value on a meter, which is just nonsense. Measuring LUFS, see here, it has a small window saying true peak max. It says 2.5. What's up, Blizzy? Yeah, no, it's insane. Oh, of course, it sounds awful. And that's really when it gets into that stuff where it's like, oh, it's, it's got to be as loud as possible, -3 LUFS, -2 LUFS, -1 LUFS. There comes a point where it's like, you just have to sit there and say, I want it distorted. I want my track to be almost unlistenably distorted. And that's just part of the aesthetic. And I'm 35. I'm old. I come from the rock world. I come from the world of like Beatles records and things like this. So the idea of mastering to that level where it's just basically thrashed is totally foreign to me. Sorry, I'm looking, Flyman. I see here it has a small window saying true peak max, and it's 2.5 dB. It has a red number, which is concerning. Yes, okay, so true peak, LUFS is average, right? LUFS is the rolling average of your whole tune, or every 10 seconds it'll sort of take a sample and say, here's the average. True peak is momentary loudness. So at the absolute peak, even if it's just for a split second, you are going above your clipping, essentially. And that's called true peak loudness. So they're two different metrics. One's measuring the average loudness. The other one is measuring the momentary loudness and telling you what the maximum point. You also want that to be negative. It can be much higher, higher technically, than LUFS. Usually you want a true peak of like -0.5 or -1. 2.5 dB true peak means you're clipping by 2.5 decibels. So there you would want to use, yes. If you want a really safe target, Flyman, for the kind of stuff that you do, I would say shoot for -9 LUFS and -0.5 -0.5 true peak. You're 100% correct, Ian. Hopefully this is helpful to people, which is why we've been off on a tear about it. But yes, you are correct. We will get back to feedback in a second. Music out of Brazil. How much music theory do you implement on your stuff? A lot. A lot. We talk a lot about music theory. No, you're fine. I mean, I'm in control, but no, this stuff is, these are the kind, this is the, yes, I am Blizzy. This is the kind of stuff that I really like streaming and talking about, which is why I try to take, some extra time to talk about it because it's good, important, fundamental mixing concepts to understand that aren't necessarily taught in a lot of places that come from this like old school engineering and mixing world that I think are still really important for people to understand. So as much as I can talk about that stuff, I'm always happy to, because I think it's a good thing for people to know about. But regardless, thank you for saying something, because I would go for hours. We will keep moving with feedback, though. That is a very, very good call. Up next is going to be Gaukib. Let's see here. Level 8, working in FL. Very good. This is pre-master. Okay. Vocal is AI, but production is 100% original. Okay. So that would fall under the category of AI generated, which we really try to not do anything with here on the channel or promote in any way. So thank you for letting me know. But unfortunately, we're not going to be able to listen to that today. I'm so very, very sorry. Because, using like stem separation or something is completely fine, but anything generative AI, I mean, it's directly taking work out of the pockets of singers. Even if it's just a sample that you use, I would always recommend, use Splice, use Vocalfy, try to connect with an actual artist. But we do not allow anything AI generated in any shape or form here on the channel. So I appreciate you submitting. I appreciate you hanging out. You clearly know a lot about audio, which is awesome. So I'm not trying to call you out or anything like that. But that is a pretty hard and fast rule here on the stream. So if you have any tracks that do not feature AI, I would love to hear them. Absolutely. But that is kind of the situation. So very sorry, my friend, but that is the, without vocal would be fine. I just don't, I don't, I'm not interested in promoting or listening to anything that uses tools like that. So, but we're going to go ahead and move on to Flyman and check out what you've got going on. Okay, so this is a brand new track from my upcoming album I'm working on. As you can guess, it's again melodic. Very good. It's the thing I'm trying to find is a good solid electric guitar for the top melody added during the break of the track. I mainly wanted your opinion on how this current electric guitar plugin I added sounds. It's freeware. Okay, very interesting. Let's check it out. Yeah, you can post a link in chat. Okay, that's fine. Very cool. As always, Flyman. Yeah, classic Flyman riser build out. Great melodies, really, really good arrangement overall. I'm not here. Hang on. Is that the electric guitar sound you're talking about? In there? Holzer, how's it going? Unfortunately, queue is closed for today. Yeah, I hear it. It is suffering from what most guitar libraries suffer from, which is it doesn't really sound. It's a fine sound. It doesn't sound like a guitar though. There's so much texture and nuance that goes into an actual electric guitar performance of just fingers on strings that it's very, very, very hard to replicate. There's a few like very expensive libraries out there that can do rhythm stuff pretty well and even lead stuff okay. But it's one of the things that like I've still never heard a sample library sound very good. Also, like even with AI, generative AI, like the guitars are always the number one way to tell that it's AI because they just the nuance of hands on strings is very, very, very hard to replicate. I mean, if you have money to spend on a plugin, hire a guitar player, man. You could get somebody to play a lead. I'd play a lead on this for you for, super cheap. Just grab it. There's tons of guitar players out there that would play on it for you. I would just do that because like even a payware library is going to be, they're expensive and it's going to, what's up, Ravage? Good to see you, buddy. They're expensive and it's going to be, it's something you can use multiple times, but it still is probably not going to be exactly what you want it to sound like. This is a situation where I would 100% just recommend jump on Fiverr, jump on Musiversal is a great resource. Jump on SoundBetter, jump on AirGigs, jump on any of these sites. Or there's a ton of guitar players in chat. Lost State, who's in chat from time to time, is a really good guitar player. I guarantee you could find somebody for, $20, $50, something like that, who would do a quick lead pass on this for you and it'd sound great. Myself included, if you wanted. I would spend your money there as opposed to trying to get a guitar library. Like acoustic, I know you use library stuff for acoustic rhythms, and that stuff sounds okay because it's just strumming. But that like getting a really convincing good lead sound is very, very difficult, even with paid plugins. So that's what I would recommend. Other than that, though, it's, again, really, really nice arrangement, great melodies, great chords. I love all your sound choices. I always do. Yeah, probably somewhere between 20 and 50, is what most guitar players would charge. And I'm talking US dollars, but that's in euros as well. It'd be like €20 to €50. Yeah, post in my server. Just be like, hey, guitar players, would anybody play lead on this for €20? Somebody I'm sure would be happy to do it. And just PayPal them. We got to support each other, right? We gotta use each other's skills. I do think there's some spots where it's feeling like the compression's a bit heavy-handed here, particularly on the acoustic guitar. Feels kind of pumped out with the compression, like it's a little bit much. But other than that, like, your drums stuff sounds really, really good. All your synths sound great. Your risers and transitions are all really good. Ian said something about the resonance on a filter suite. Yeah. It's a tiny bit pokey. You could probably back off on the peak on the filter sweep on your pads. Just that like resonant. If depending on how you're doing that filter sweep, there's usually a setting called resonance that as it's doing the filter sweep, there's like a point that it's boosting. We call that the resonant peak of a filter, and that feels like it's maybe up a little bit high there. But other than that, no. I mean, like fundamentals. 2.5 dB that I saw on 2. So that's true peak, not LUFS. Does it sound as if it's clipping? No, but that's probably because it's like either an intersample peak or FL has filtered it out on export. But what you would want is a limiter in the final stage of your mastering chain that's a very, very fast limiter with a very, very high threshold is usually the best way to handle true peaks. So like for me, and I do that in Ozone, I have their, I forgot to do it on this. I didn't do a very good mastering job of this track at all. I grab a limiter, I set it to true peak mode, and I put the threshold at 0, and then the ceiling at -1. And this catches any peaks that jump out after my maximization stage. Any peaks that jump out after there, this catches as like a final stopgap. So that's usually how you handle that. But no, and it doesn't, DAWs do a lot when you export nowadays to prevent clipping. And so you're not necessarily going to hear it. But it's still just, a bad, you're good. What's up, Cakes? Good to see you, buddy. But it's important to know what it's doing because it's still just, it's a mixing fundamentals kind of a thing. That you want to be familiar with. But no, overall, it's a great track, man. It's like your melodies are always great. Your chord progressions are always great. Your layering is always really, really, really great. So all of that is very good. But thank you for sharing, man. I hope it's been helpful. Okay, we got Gausib or Gaukib next with a DAI-ified version, and then up next is going to be I believe Musicado Brazil. Let me double check. Yep, absolutely. Okay, cool. So let's check out Gaukib's track. Of course, Flyman, anytime. Okay, Gaussi. Gaussi B. Sorry, I kept calling you Gaukib. That makes no sense. I'm assuming Gaussi is your name. Sorry, Blazin. What's up, buddy? Okay. Overall, really, really nice. Really, really nice. Well composed, good chord progression, really good sound choices overall. I do think there's room for more textures, like definitely something, and I suggest this as an idea a lot. But a melodic hook of some kind up high, like piano, could sound great here. That kind of a thing, I think, could really work really, really nicely. Maybe it's in just a couple of notes towards the beginning of the track, and then it builds in complexity. And that's, if you have a vocal in there, which I'm just going to say again, please don't use AI vocals. I understand it's very easy and free, and it sounds how it sounds. There's lots and lots of resources for great acapellas from good artists. There's lots of artists I see all the time, like on Reddit and on social media. There's so many artists out there that are desperate for producers that want to get on tracks. I would implore you to reach for any of those things and don't reach for AI. I guess there's a future in which they make an AI that's like ethically trained and people are compensated for the use of their voice. Most of the tools around right now are not. They're built on very, very, very shady business practices using people's voices without their permission, and the people are not getting compensated. So that I will just say my piece on that real quick. I guarantee you, if you posted this on Instagram and said, "Hey, I'm looking for a vocalist," you could find a lot of people. I can almost promise you. But like just the other day, I was on We Are the Music Makers on Reddit, and I saw 4 different posts of people being like, I want to sing. There was literally a girl who's like, I'm a trained singer. I've done it as a hobby, but I want to get a portfolio together. I just don't know how to find an EDM producer. I want to sing on house. I want to sing on techno. I want to sing on EDM stuff. I think it's so cool, but I don't know how to find anybody. It's like, there's so many folks out there who want to do it. So, anyways, but yeah, like overall, your mix is really clean. The hats are a little dry, which they often are. They're a little bit like kind of overly bright and proud. I might turn your hi-hat topper elements down just a little bit. And then this is more of a mastering thing. I know you said it's pre-mastered. This sort of breakdown is significantly quieter than when your beat is in. So obviously you'll probably handle that in mastering. Yeah. You can make that white noise transition there a little bit more present and textural as well. It's a very, very cool transition idea, but I kind of want a little bit more. So, yeah. But, oh, yeah, overall, very, very nice. I think just more ear candy here and there, particularly like a hook melody of some kind would be great. Leveling some of that stuff out volume-wise, hats down a little bit. And then yeah, go hop on Reddit. Go look for a vocalist and see if you can collab with somebody. Don't use AI. AI is no good, man. It's bad. It's bad. But thank you very much for sharing. I appreciate you posting it and being very understanding on the position we have around here with AI stuff. So very, very good. Musicado Brazil, you are up next. Unfortunately, we do not do Spotify links either. It says in the doc there, so I would need a SoundCloud link or a direct link to the file on Dropbox or Google Drive. Pretty much anything else, just not Spotify. Spotify is, much as AI is very bad, but yeah, SoundCloud's perfect. You can just toss it in chat. That's totally fine. Spotify is one of the most evil companies in the world. And we do not support them in any way. We got to vote with our dollars and our time, people, against these terrible, terrible entities. But yeah, I mean, I am recommending to all artists, put it up literally anywhere but Spotify. Because really what it comes down to, and you may not know about this, Musicado, it's not like Spotify, yeah, they don't pay, and yeah, they're pushing AI on all this stuff. You putting your music on Spotify, you have granted them a license to remix and distribute and sell your music without any consent or compensation. You've granted them an irrevocable, universal, perpetual license to do whatever they want with your music and make money off of it without compensating you in any way. That's their new terms of service. You've basically signed away the rights to your music. So I strongly recommend that nobody use Spotify just on that principle alone, because you are signing away a significant chunk of the rights to your own music when you upload to their platform. So, yeah, okay, yeah, you know, it's yeah. I understand a lot of people use it. I love this already. Are you singing? Where did you source the vocals from? Gotcha. Okay. Interesting. Your voice sounds great. This is absolutely fascinating. All right. Fascinating track, man. Obrigado for sharing. Thank you. Uh, uh, yeah, by all means. Yeah, this is really, really interesting. Definitely experimental. I can definitely hear an enormous amount of just sort of very classic Brazilian sort of Gilberto, whose name I can never say, changes in there, chord changes, which is all very cool. I guess the thing that sticks out to me would come down mostly to two things here. One is the arrangement, and two, which trust me, I understand it's kind of experimental. But the second would be the drums, um, which there's a lot of really interesting rhythms going on. I think just from a drum production perspective, you have like the main kind of kick and like sort of trap-ish hi-hats. Then you have like some second snare samples that feel like they're panned a little bit to the left. And then maybe some subtle percussion layers in the background. It never feels like those change, like they're just kind of going the entire time in a very static way. So I would encourage you to think about maybe thinking about just changing up, the kind of density or busyness of your drums throughout tracks as you write them, right? Because it's hard to. Drums are one of the main elements in like what the drums are doing. Even when you look at a lot of traditional Latin music, they can be very kind of static and consistent for pieces if there's like soloing going on and stuff. But even like section to section, there's a lot of building and a lot of layers that can come in and out that really help to delineate like, okay, this is a mellower section. Now this is a higher energy section. And then this is a mellower section, all that kind of stuff. So I would recommend thinking about that. And then arrangement wise, and doing that with drums will definitely help in this sense. But yeah, it's kind of hard. Like there's a vocal section and then there's a not vocal section and then there's vocal section. But that's really, it's a little hard to like track the form of the tune and like where the start of a section is, where the end of a section is, because there aren't really a lot of like transitions. Here, it's just kind of like that drum groove, and then there's singing, and then there's more guitar, and then there's singing. But there's not really my ear is kind of always asking, well, what's next? Are we in the middle of an idea? Are we at the end of an idea? Did we just start a new idea? It's a little bit hard to parse that out as it is right now. So again, I think drum layering and through those sections would help a lot with that. But that's kind of how it's coming across to me right now. Very interesting ideas, though. You clearly have a very good command of chord movement through this, style, and kind of writing in a very, why can I not think of, Brazilian jazz, for the lack of a better term. I know there's like a number of different terms for it. The guitar playing sounds great. Your voice sounds nice. The recording quality, Okay, for sure. Yeah, I mean, if that's what you're going for, then you pulled it off. Um, Also, I would assume I feel like there's bass in there. I feel like the bass could be quite a bit louder. That we're working on, Cakes. The game that we're working on now. It's called Order 1. Here, let me post the Kickstarter. Well, I'll do that in a second. I'll post the Kickstarter link in a second. But yeah, it's called Order 1 with 2 slashes in between the 2 words. You can wishlist it on Steam or find it on Kickstarter. But we're going to work on that game in just a second here. So, yeah, but very, very interesting, man. Thank you very much for sharing. I appreciate it. Boom. Kickstarter's got it. There is the blank. Oh, you're awesome. Boom. In a minute, I'll have you pick pin the Kickstarter link. Super. But Musicato, thank you very much for sharing, man. Very, very, very interesting stuff. Very, very interesting and good job. And like quality of the mix sounds good. Did I say bass? Bass up. I could use more bass in it. That was my only final thought. The bass is a little quiet, but mix sounds good. Your voice sounds good. Very, very interesting. I love it. All right. On that note, we are going to go ahead and wrap feedback for the day. Thank you for the submissions. Sorry we got a little bit distracted by talking about compression and LUFS and things, but like I said, it's an important topic. But we are going to go ahead, I'm just going to get it pulled up in the background here. We are going to jump back into working on this opening piece for Order 1. So, let's see here. Let me go. Oh, yeah, Slavka's in chat. Working. Very good. Gamer Jam, favorite album? That is an impossible question to answer, my friend. If you give me a genre, I can probably give you between 5 and 10 favorite albums. But the all-time favorite is quite literally impossible. What's up, Slavka? How's it going, buddy? Oh yeah, it's the ELO, Electric Light Orchestra. Absolutely. No, that's very much the world I come from. Gamer Jam is sort of rock, jam band, fusion, all that kind of stuff. I toured as a bass player for many, many years, so I'm very used to making records like that. It's very hard to do nowadays. Very, very hard to do nowadays. But we've got this pulled up here, so let's take a peek and get back into working on, not take a peek, take a big old look at this piece for Order 1. So we were working on this yesterday, and this is extremely minimal, but in terms of the style that we're going after here. But basically, when you very first start the game, you are a maintenance worker on this space station. This is sort of how the game begins. You're a maintenance worker on a space station that is orbiting a black hole, and you are doing some basic maintenance on the station. I think you're working on the shields that protect the station from radiation from the black hole that it is orbiting. And so the first 20 or so minutes of the game is like tutorial, getting to grips with the game systems, and everything seems to be fine. And then terrible thing happens, and everything goes sideways, and that's where the story for the rest of the game plays out. So we did last week the first sort of vertical suite of tracks for this area once the game fully kicks into gear. So combat track, exploration, sneak, escape, like the whole vertical composition thing that we were working on last week. So those tracks are done. But we need a sort of opening theme for this area. So we're going with something that's very much in the vein of like Dead Space, classic kind of orchestral scoring with a little bit of the sci-fi undertone, with a little bit of synth stuff. So we want something here, a piece that's very mellow, very static, very neutral, but with just a hint of tension to it, just like a whisper of threat, perhaps. So we got through yesterday kind of 2 little motif ideas So the track I would say is about 50% where it's at right now. So what we want to do is we're going to be adding a section with just cello and basses here at the beginning. And then we're going to be scooting all this over and adding kind of a closing thought with our full string arrangement. So let's take a listen to what we have thus far. Let me do a couple of setup things in the background. As we have like just a full string section, full string orchestra symphony, whatever you want to call it, as well as a little bit of synth here and there. We've got a what synth are we using here? We're using something layered. Yes, 80s dark electro, that's fine, but I would very much like to look at what this preset is made of. Analog Lab, why is there not an easy button to click to show me this? I love Arturia's sounds so much, but sometimes it is not super easy to navigate their plugin. Whatever, I suppose it doesn't matter. It's a synth of some kind. And then we have a Moog, Model D Mini Moog in here as well, doing some very subtle bass movement. So let's listen to what we have so far, and then we will dive back into finishing the track out. Very cool. Very cool. So very happy with where that's at. Probably a couple little tweaks that we want to work on. First thing I actually want to do while I'm thinking about it is give a little bit more in the way of verb to these strings. So we're going to pull up one of my absolute favorite reverbs for orchestral stuff, which is Spaces from East West, which is a gorgeous convolution reverb. And actually, we will put this on a send. And this will just give us a really nice, like, extra kind of bump of sort of concert hall vibe to it. And then right here, the first thing, I'm just going to do a little bit of housekeeping real quick. I do want this note to sort of die off a little bit better here with these different instruments. So we're just going to pop through these because there's like one note that's like hanging out weirdly at the end, and we don't want that. Basses are fine there because they're just holding a low drone. We want something a little more like that. There we go. That's much better. Okay, so that's all really, really nice. So I want to find a good way to close out this whole thought, right? Kind of a nice resolving motif. And then from there, we will kind of go back and worry about the opening of the whole thing with the little, little bit of cello, little bass. Other layers, I do think maybe there's room in here for just a very subtle pad, or maybe something a little bit more like evolving, very, very mellow, very quiet, very textural, very background. But it still is feeling like there's more room for gentle, subtle, distant ear candy here. So, key on this is G minor. And we're very much playing around with a lot of very, not overly extremely dissonant, but somewhat dissonant sounds and vibes. Oh, like that doesn't sound like G. There we go. So one idea that we definitely are using is this shape, which is sort of a what we could call like a Dorian sharp 4 sound. Right? Which is, Dorian minor scale. So 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, natural 6, flat 7, 1 would be our regular Dorian. And then that Lydian sort of alteration or sharp 4 alteration would be raising the 4th. So 1, 2, flat 3, sharp 4, 5, natural 6, flat 7, 1 in the key of G, right? So that's part of the tonality that we're playing with. We also then kind of use a few interesting like little minor substitution things in here. Like that we use for a second, F minor over G is kind of cool. So we have some different tonalities to play with here, but I want to write something that resolves really nicely. Question, how big of a cut do you get from sub fee? You mean via Twitch? It's $6 to sub, and I get like $3.50 of that, I think. I get a little, I think it's 60-40. I'd have to look. Yeah, I think it's 60-40. So, not great, but certainly helps. And it means you guys don't have to watch ads, which is like pretty cool. So we like not watching ads, unless you're Twitch Turbo or whatever they call it. Yes, I believe I get 60. It's either 50-50 or 60-40 in the streamer's favor. I can't remember. So let's see here. There's that A to E flat. Oh, thank you so much for the gifted, man. That's very kind of you. I appreciate it. Yay, gifted. Thanks, buddy. Indeed. Well, there you go. That is how it works. But I appreciate it, man. That's very, very kind of you. And congratulations to There Don't Give a Fuck, apparently. Yeah, 60%. Yeah, it's not too bad. You can also you can tip through Stream Elements, which I get 100% of. That one's kind of funny because it just goes straight into my PayPal, which is always kind of funny to watch that happen. But then you don't get the benefit of not watching ads. So, it's up to you. But yeah, the Stream Element's just like a straight donation. I get 100% of, and I think that it's also bits is also better somehow. I get 90% of bits or something. I don't know. I need to look into all of this because it is important to know. Anyway, so let me just think about this here real quick. So we're going. So it ends there. So we could go kind of simple. and then go kind of left field. I think it definitely should be something like ascending that then ends up kind of looping back around and resolving really nicely to just a big, rich G5, right? At the end of it. Or even maybe potentially just a hint of G major in there. Just like a whisper of a major third could be kind of nice here. So what's blinking green? What's happening? Something's blinking. Are you just having fun, Super? I never know if a light change is meant to gotcha. Meant to tell me that something's going on, or if you're just goofing off, which is totally fine, and I highly encourage. Big love in chat, by the way, to our wonderful moderator, Super, who is controlling the lights. No, not that. Now, where do we want to go here, guys? Ooh. Time for a sweet home reharm. What's up, Joe? Good to see you, man. How you doing? Oh, you have nothing to apologize for, Cakes. You are having you're doing exactly what you're supposed to do, which is play with the lights. Everybody's supposed to play with the lights all the time. I like that. It's so much fun composing with strobe lights. This is great. I think it could be just that simple, and it goes real dissonant for a second and then like resolves out of it. So this would be like G minor, F major first inversion, G minor first inversion, C minor, A flat minor 7. Which is like a flat 2, but minor, so like very dissonant there. And then that resolves reasonably well to that, which is another F major. And then that can circle back around nicely to a nice big G. Again, with maybe like a tiny, just little hint of the third in there, just to make it feel nice and like round. And resolved, if you will. So let's start sketching that out here with all of our string friends. So we're going to grab our bases first and kind of lay out our root notes here. So we're going to come back to G. Now, how do we want timing to work here? We will get our Moog working again here. We'll just have the Moog play static G for the time being while we kind of work stuff out. Yeah, okay. I think we go like this. And then here it goes to this A flat minor, probably for 2 full bars. Like so. Or maybe a bar and a half, and then here it goes down to F, and then closes out on this G for 2 bars. I think this will be a nice length of the phrase. We'll see how this feels. Yeah, that's nice. So we'll bring our cellos to the party now. Or celli, rather. So what we want here... Yeah, okay. So the cello are going to start D. And we'll bring this back up here so we can hear everything. They're going to go D, F, G. And hold that G over that C minor there. And then we're going to A flat minor. So they'll probably go up to a B, I suppose. Or they could go to a 5th here. We could go jump them down to E flat. Jake, right on time. We just started working on this. And then go to there. Oh no. Perfect. Add real drums. The Wheel of Doom says that we must do it. What do you think, Jake? Should we add real drums to this? Just a giant 80s Phil Collins. Boo, 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 boo. Be perfect, right? It's exactly what we're after. Normally, Cakes, I would 1,000% honor that, of course. But we do have 2 of the developers watching me work on this at the moment, and I'm pretty sure they would have a conniption if I were to start blasting drums over the top of this. No, that's way too weird. So we're A flat there. We'll go C. We'll have to go back to 5ths. Yeah, that's very cool. So here we will go. We're going. So we'll have violas go. We're just going to go straight triad here with our violas. They're going to go G, A, B flat. And this is where dissonance really, really starts to show up. And keep in mind that you're going to be swelling huge, so it's not going to feel that weird. And here's where we might be able to pull in a teeny, teeny, tiny bit of this B natural. We're gonna land him on G for now, and if we want that B, we can deal with it later. So here we're gonna start this guy on B flat. These are second violins now. To here. And here's this very, very wild there we go. Very good. Yeah. Lovely. Okay. Now here, you're going to start D, F, G is what we want on our second violins here, or our first violins rather. So give me volume again, and we're going to go D, F, D. And then that's going to hold there and then probably go down to F sharp over this A flat minor. And then lift up to the F here, or down to the F here. And then resolve out on the G. Very cool. Okay. So now let's just get our swells going on here as we want them. So we're going to go. And then we'll go probably have you swell in. How do we want it? Well, we have a few different options here, but we'll have you swell in and then out again. Let's try this first and foremost. We'll move you to there. So let's grab these. We're going to copy these around, of course. This is our dynamics, our expression articulation here. So let's throw these around all of our other instruments here and just see what we've got, how this is sounding. Oh, it would be helpful if we could hear all of the instruments. Not quite what we're after. It definitely sounds better, and I love that A flat in there. It's super fucking weird for a second. A lot of lovely tension, but so we're going to do a slightly more intricate work here. I want this to swell something like this, actually, probably. So we're going to kind of flip this a little bit on its head. Yeah, like we'll try that there. Hang on, get rid of you. get rid of you. Probably have it swell into there and then dip like that. Let's try this across everybody. I really, really wish yeah, that's exactly what I'm working on, Super. Because the swells were just in kind of odd places that didn't really line up with the notes. I like that much better. That feels way more natural now. At least to me. Okay, I like that a lot. Let's hear this whole kit and caboodle from the top. Sick. Oh, that sounds so good. Oh, man. Oh, I love that. I'm all about that. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. I just want this last note to just be quite a bit longer. Like twice as long as it is right now. But fortunately, we have the magic of stretch. So we can just do that. And then join all of these. And they will die oh so slowly. Oh, this is lovely. Really. And then we're just going to change the note on the Moog just right here to that A flat, and then sick. Oh yeah, absolutely. Okay, now we want to work on cutoff filter here for just a second, and we're going to have it peak again right there. Really, really build that tension and then fall away like so. And then, hang on, I've got an idea here. Cool. Yeah. Oh, guys, it's so good. Oh, makes me happy. So now we just want to worry. All that we have now to worry about is this cello and basses back here. God, that resolves so beautifully. So now here's the one thing I want to try here, just really quick. What if we take these violas and make them a B natural, but have it be like so quiet? I kind of love that. Like it's really, it doesn't like it just gives it the hint of like a major chord, but not really. Even a skosh tiny bit less. I love that personally. I super love that. It just gives it the subtlest vibe of like things are okay at the moment. Um, oh no, I noticed it super. I just, um, uh, uh, I don't really, especially when we're deep in work, I'm like, nothing's really going to happen in 90 seconds that's going to be super game changing. So, um, okay, listening from the top one more time here. God, I love writing shit like this. Oh, that's so cool. Okay. Um, yeah, short little cello and bass thing at the beginning. We want to think about that, but we also want to think about um, which here we'll just go zwink and then zwink. So that's nice and easy to do. I want to experiment with for a second here with and I tried that. I don't like it. I want to play around for a second with like a pad of some kind in here. So let's grab complete control and see if there's like a nice ethereal earth. And I'm talking something really, really distant here. Maybe even a couple of somethings, but like, again, this is more about just like, I don't want notes or chords or bit. I just want like a few little texture elements that can kind of be hanging out really, really distant in the background. And just kind of be little interesting moments of subtle sound and texture. Yeah, that is definitely on my list of things to try, Jake, for sure. Yeah, like something maybe like this. Let's see what this sounds like. that's mono. That's stupid. Not that. Maybe this? This could be interesting. No, that's too leady. Yeah, no, that's too like lead sound. Okay, maybe not Cloud Supply. What about yeah, like Evolving Mutations. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, shit like that. Totally. Like it's barely even tonal. Yeah. Slightly shorter on that one. Keep going. Just yeah, like nice little textury bits. So let's hear this on its own and see if we can do anything interesting to it. That's nice. That's like way too quiet. Cool. Now we're talking. Yeah. Ooh, baby. Yeah, this black hole, it's such a cool texture. Just verbed out. So this is all the writing stuff like this is kind of deceptive, right? Because sometimes you hear stuff like this and you're like, oh, it's just a couple of chords, it's just some strings, maybe a pad. Like there's not many elements, but it's all in like the fine detail work of like exactly where things should swell and exactly what like it's a lot of very meticulous. Yeah, that black hole is a perfect texture in there. Hang on, let me think about this reverb for a second. I think I actually want to go with something slightly different. Let's go with Seventh Heaven. I want to use the East Church or the West Church preset in Seventh Heaven because it sounds so, yeah, West Church. It's a little more synthy feeling. Yeah, it's like lusher. Probably just extend that note out a little bit. Scrumptious. Absolutely scrumptious. So we're going to have you do that probably, yeah. And then we'll mirror that everywhere else. Boom, boom, boom. This is what I mean by this detail work, right? It's like really getting nitty gritty about... Very cool. Okay, let's cap this off with some cello bass work. So we're going to scoot this over just so that we can make this nice and easy. So we'll give it probably like, what are these phrases averaging? About 8 bars. So let's scoot all this over by 8 bars. So we have some runway here. And I already more or less know what I want to do. I want to keep this more like Dorian through here. So we're going to have our basses swell in, and really the movement here is just going to come from the cello. Let's make sure we've got good, clean basses here. Oh, come on now. Work with me. Yep, so drag you over like so. That's good. And then we're just going to probably have the basses just drone G throughout this whole thing. Same with the Moog. Connect all of that. And we might do something with the cutoff filter here. Like really, really, really slowly build up. Cool. Okay, so now Chelly, let's see here. We'll enter here. Just doing probably a really simple... Neat. Yes, by all means, jump on into the Discord, buddy. I'll have you hold that out. Yeah, so something like this. Oh, come on, bases. Maybe we'll actually split the cellos. Oh, and we also need to do vibrato on everything, so we'll do that in a second too. Yeah, just a real simple phrase like that, I think, is going to work really well here. Yeah. I like that a lot. Bring the verb back on the strings a little bit. Just a nice, simple opening thought there. And it'll loop around right there at the end of that phrase. Oh, mama. This is sounding like a sci-fi horror game. Yeah, let's see if we can get... Oh, yeah. Oh, that's wicked. Now let's make sure that our cutoffs are kind of starting and ending at the same point. Then it can loop around there like that. Okay. I think push that back a little bit earlier there. What do we think, guys? What do we think here? I'm feeling like this is pretty dope, personally. Cool. Jake, Slavka, any notes? Any thoughts? I am super, super pleased. This is like very definitively like a vibe. And definitely feels like the like it's appropriate for this like area. Like this feels like a good tutorial looping, like pretty neutral, slight hints in there that things are going to go wrong, but not overbearing. Yes, it's a lot of good texture, that's for sure. Yeah, I don't think it needs anything else. The only thing that I do want to do a pass on is vibrato here. Yes, I believe the accident, as we're calling it, is the next thing to happen. So let me just run through the strings real quick and do some vibrato work. Definitely a separate track. Yeah, I would definitely do something like that as a separate track. Hang on one second. We want to compare this to this here so we can line up our... So here we're just adding vibrato to the strings, right? And we can very easily just copy this down to the others, and then we'll just handle the cellos at the beginning a little bit separately. Yeah, and then like here, like so, very good. Yeah, that's nice. Okay, so let's make sure that's... Yep, we've got a start point there. Okay, now we can just go boom, jump down to you, boom, paste, jump down to you, boom, and paste, and paste. And then we won't have the basses do anything, but let's listen to our cello real quick. Yeah, something sort of like that should be pretty nice. Nope. Get out of here. We want a curve there. Yeah. Okay. Now let's listen again all the way through with this vibrato added now. And it does so much to sell it being a real orchestra. Lovely. Yep, that's the final bow on top. And then the loop. I don't know, boys. I think it might be good to go. Do we have any final thoughts? Anyone in chat? There's a bunch of people. I want to hear what all of you think. What do we think? I think it's scrumptious. I think it is indeed. We have a rating of, what is that, 5? 4? 4 flaming speakers from Super. It's good. Good. Sounds good. Good. I love it. Yeah, so in terms of the accident situation, yeah, that should definitely be like its own thing that happens and is like a sting. It can either be a track. It depends on the nature of the accident, which obviously we won't discuss on the stream, but we can talk about that in the server. It all depends on like what happens and what the pay. Is this something that happens instantly, or is this something that happens over the course of a few minutes? We can kind of figure that out. So, or if it's a cutscene, like obviously that'll be a separate issue. But yeah, I think. Okay. Yeah, we can parse that out because it'll be helpful to know like what the triggers and events are and how they play out like pretty specifically. God, I love that. Oh, I've always wanted to write music like this, you guys. Not that we haven't before, but this is pretty class. I'm very, very, very pleased. All right, cool. Well, this went so much faster than I don't know why I thought it was going to take a couple of hours, but that took like less than an hour. So, we will wrap that for now. I'm trying to think of what else to do. I mean, we certainly don't have any shortage of things to do. Let me look at my little thing that tells me all the projects that we have right now. Okay, so that's done. That's done. Very good. Ooh, we could start on that. We could start on that, or we could start on that. Honestly, I have 3 things that need to happen. You know what? Here, we'll do this. Nosebora. No, thank you guys. Absolutely. We have another tune for Nosebora. Let me look at my Discord combo with him real quick. 1 second here. I'm going to talk to him in a couple of days. Yes. I like to have Nose in here though when I work on stuff. Honestly, we may just wrap a little early today, guys, because this is all kinds of we have a track for Nosebora, we have this track for Saint, and then this track for Salvage. But I need to look at my notes for Salvage. I need to look at my notes for Nose, and kind of talk to both of them about what needs to happen. And then Saint I would like to have on here while we work on his beat, so I need to see when he's going to be around. So yeah, I think we might just call today a bit of an early day, because I need to do some deliveries. I need to go do some admin and housekeeping stuff. So I think that might be the move. So sorry for a slightly shorter stream today, but this is the weird thing sometimes about trying to do actual work on stream, right? Because a lot of, as I've said many times, especially over the past couple of weeks, as we've been talking more about being a professional and all that kind of stuff, a lot of the work is communicating with people and talking to people and getting ideas and scheduling and, all that kind of stuff. So sometimes I run into these positions where I'm even though I have a project that we could start on, I'm I need to go look at notes and talk to somebody and organize some things before we can start on. So yeah, I think we will go ahead and wind down here. But let's, does anybody have anybody we can raid? We didn't raid out yesterday, and I realized in hindsight we probably should have. Let me go look here. But thank you guys very, very much for hanging out. Oh, Haywire. Who's Haywire? Haywire looks like they're doing something interesting. Oh yeah, Haywire's doing something cool. We've never raided Haywire before. We'll go do that. Why not? Raid Haywire. Sure. Neat. Well, thanks again very much for hanging out, guys. I really appreciate it, and sorry for leaving a bit early. But no, we will be back tomorrow. We'll do some feedback. We will do some, all the normal stuff. We certainly have plenty of projects, so we'll have stuff to work on for tomorrow. But yeah, appreciate you guys. We're going to go raid somebody called Haywire, who seems to be producing electronic stuff, so you guys can keep watching somebody do something cool. So, yeah, join the Discord. There's a giveaway going on in the Discord for a free 90-minute one-on-one sort of mentor learning session, whatever you want it to be with me. So if that sounds interesting, !Discord. Super has the link right there. Go jump in the giveaways channel. But we'll be back tomorrow, same time as we always are, 2 p.m. Eastern in the U.S., 8 p.m. Central European time. And yeah, onward we go. So thanks again. Hope you guys have a great evening, afternoon, morning, night, whatever it is, wherever you're at. And we will see you tomorrow. Bye.